accordingly. Okay, so why don't we get started now? Let's look at the indices first. I'm gonna look at S&P 500 first. Let's look at the higher time frame. Higher time frame here that I'm looking at. Overall structure, I like how we're in this kind of a consolidation. It's shaping up to be a nice structure, and because we had this bullish move to the upside, and then structurally this could be a continuation structure. And I made a post about this the other day about talking about what can we potentially see. Okay, because you can see two different possibility. The way how I'm looking at this is that um, prices at this area where this in most cases should be a continuation. We should get a continuation upwards, whereas depending on what's happening to the market, Monday morning New York session, are we going to get reversal? Because this is still possible to have a reversal structure moving down. Okay, so this is still where I would be a little bit more careful. Okay, be a little bit more careful. Like, even though I have a bias for the long. Okay, I have a bias for a continuation here on the higher time frame for the push to the upside. But I want to see a little bit more development. Okay, this is not, to me, it's not really a correction enough to break the upside, even though it's happening now. But I rather see on Monday morning when New York opens, and are we going to just fully break out here on the higher time frame, and then correction to follow that, and then that would be a long for me after a higher time frame correction. Okay, so that's why I see on most of the indices now. Okay, we have seen that kind of a strong bullish push in this for most of the indices in the last week or so. Okay, I'll jump into a few other ones. So Nasdaq, same thing. Um, Higher time frame, we're potentially making this kind of a continuation structure to correct this move, and we're getting a little bit of a lower time frame bullish move. So the key important area, again, it's very similar like S&P, is that are we going to get continuation, right? Are we waiting for the continuation to develop, and that we know that higher time frame impulse, higher time frame correction, and this could be the next higher time frame impulse, right? So waiting for a correction, breaking out, even breaking below the previous top, would be more ideal, and you want to wait for a continuation correction for the upside. Okay, so again, waiting for Monday morning New York session would be ideal. For now, just personally seeing like this, I don't think it's enough of a correction. I'd rather see the full breakout. It's breaking out, but like waiting for the correction during maybe Asian or London session, and then New York session opens, looking for the upside. Okay. So a couple other indices I want to go over. This is TSX, so Canadian index. So similarly, seeing the same thing again, impulse on the higher time frame, and then potentially we're in this consolidation, and potentially is looking for the upside, right? We have this confirmed kind of a bottom, right? We broke the previous low, and then we have a bullish push to the upside. So similarly, if it's going to form correction here to break out, or is it just going to break out, continuing like this? Either way, that will be the confirmation before entering any of these trades for long. Okay, and I know some of you guys, when I was just looking at the Telegram, I see some of you guys are looking for opposite for sure, and that's fine, right? And I talk about this a lot, is that making sure you guys, follow your plan, follow your forecast analysis, and then take it from there, right? Personally, from the information I'm getting right now, that's kind of how I see, right? We can see what happened in New York session. That probably be a little bit more clarity. That's when New York opens. That's when all the U.S. market opens as well. Okay, so certainly going to have some reaction during that Monday morning. Okay, so let's move on to last one. I think Dow Jones. Someone asked about that. So similarly, it's what I'm looking at, right? On the higher time frame, still, we're just being an impulsive move, and we finally have forming a potential structure. The key here with all these indices is that you'll notice that when price was originally dropping down like this, when I was looking at this as a short, right? If you guys remember how I was seeing this from the weeks before, is that we break the low or hit the low, and then we just did not continue. Okay, that's really the key for it, is that the price is finding a bottom, and then we're just getting this bullish impulse. So potentially you're forming a more complete structure. Okay, and it's the same thing as S&P as well, right? You didn't break the previous low. Instead, you had a double bottom, and then price is bullish to push up, right? And same thing with Nasdaq. Didn't break the previous low, and then shaping up to be a higher time frame structure, and then we get this bullish push up. That's why it's changing for me personally. That's why I'm changing my bias on these, because what I'm seeing from the price reaction. Okay, so Dow Jones, again, similarly as S&P and Nasdaq, right? The price is going to continue higher, break the low, and continue higher, right? And this becomes the overall higher time for continuation for this move, and we can potentially get the next move up. Okay, so that's my personal bias on all the indices. Okay, I'm seeing it more bullish. Okay, and I want to kind of be more conservative on all of these until when I see New York opens this Monday morning. Then it will be a little bit more clear on where the pair is going likely to go. All right. So, but for now, that is how I see on them. So why don't we let's jump into currency, and then we'll take a look at all the currency now. Most of these are asked by you guys, right, in my Telegram. So I'll go over them, and then we'll go from there. So dollar index, personally, this is what I'm seeing on dollar index, right? After the election, I'm not seeing too much. Instead, I'm just seeing this kind of a bearish move already. So if we just zoom out here on the higher time frame, now if this is the impulse that we're clearly seeing on the higher time frame, and this is all the correction that we're going to get, we're very likely to see the next bearish move down. Looking at the lower time frame, uh, originally, if you guys recall, I had price action drew like this. I was more looking at, will this long push to the previous high before it start dropping? I was looking at that kind of with buy movement, but it just never happened. It broke out, and then there's just no continuation upwards to that point. Instead, we just see this kind of a bearish move down from this point forward. And you could argue that it's forming something here. It's forming like a falling wedge, right? So potential reversal, okay, potential reversal. But looking at the higher time frame still, if we just zoom out here, even if it's going to reverse on the lower time frame, but it's likely to make some sort of structure, okay, and then continue downwards. That's very one possibility. So on the lower time frame, yes, you could get some short-term bullish move, but it could just start forming a larger structure here, and then to continue this down move, and this is just a correction that it's going to make, and then potentially the bearish move will still happen. Okay, so I'm seeing the dollar bearish for my perspective. I'm seeing it from higher time frame. I'm seeing that this correction potentially is complete, and breaking this previous low will pretty much confirm that this is the impulse, this is a correction, and we're going down to the next low from this point forward. Okay, so that's what I see on dollar index. So let's look at a few of these dollar pairs and then kind of look at what I'm seeing from this point forward. So let's look at Aussie dollar first. Higher time frame. Originally, you guys know that I'm looking at this as this way. We have this ascending channel moving up. We had this first bearish move down, and then potentially I was looking at this as a continuation. We did push down, and what made me, looking at this, differently is that we just never break the previous low. Okay, we just did not continue from this previous low. Originally, I was looking at the price to at least to hit this previous low before the next up move, but we didn't even see price, break the previous low. It becomes a double bottom in my opinion, and then we're getting this kind of a descending kind of channel, and then pretty much reversing the price, potentially moving upwards. So going down to the lower time frame, um, how I see this, that it didn't break this previous low, becomes a double bottom on the height on the price action, and first bullish push up, and then potentially you're looking at a first continuation correction here, making on the lower time frame. Okay, that's what I'm seeing right now. So short term wise, I do see this, heading to the previous top, very likely to continue forward at this point. But most people, in my opinion, will be looking for the short once price pushes to the upside, looking for a double top. And that's an area where I would be a little bit more careful uh, at this point. But looking to me for this kind of a short term bullish push is very likely now because we didn't break the previous low. We had this impulse up. Potentially, if this is going to be a continuation for me in this area, then I do see the next buy to the previous top very likely, and then reevaluate to see if price is going to react to this double top and then potentially drop downwards. So take it to a small by small approach, okay? Because structurally, it's ever evolving. I keep saying this in all my videos. We're potentially how price is reacting to the news, to all this is happening to the world, right? To the U.S. election, a lot of uncertainty in this area, and then if you're not too sure, just take it by a small approach, right? And then take it take it from there instead of trying to guess what the higher time frame is going to go. Take it by a more slow approach, and then as the price more evolves, then you can have a more better understanding of where the price is going. All right, so let's move on. So Kiwi Dollar, if you guys recall, I was looking at a short. I think everybody was looking at a short for this point. If this price break this out of this uh, overall structure, then that's how I was looking at, just waiting for the price to completely break below this and then lower time frame correction. Then this is definitely my sell, right? Like no brainer for me to at least to the previous low. Okay, but we see what the price is reacting to this now. We just instead of this channel supposed to be a continuation for this move, okay, to continue lower, you can see that price is breaking above. That's fine, right? We talk about breaking trend line, that's okay. And we're at this previous top now. So very important because this is pretty much the previous top, even from the previous top and the previous top from here. So meaning that if we're not going to get reversal here at this point, some sort of price action reversal, some sort of bearish movement, then potentially this is the last kind of a area where price is going to react, and we're just going to fall on going to be a bullish trend. Okay, and that's really important. This area that we're at now is rather crucial. Is what is price is going to do here? Well, it's consolidating. Good, because you know that price is likely to consolidate here. So if it's going to consolidate hard like this, some sort of reversal kind of pattern or structure, then most people will be looking for the short, right? And I see that as well. But if we're seeing this consolidation dragging on longer, it becomes this sideways now, then potentially you're looking at this as the bullish move, and we're just developing into a larger correction, and this is potentially turns out into the bullish move. Okay, if we look at the higher time frame here, this is kind of the high I'm talking about, right? There's no previous high that was previous is, and the next high is above this area. So you could be looking at the price just full on breaking this level, and then we full on going to become a bullish trend from this point forward. We are in this descending channel, right? On the higher time frame, we did break out from this overall channel, and this is just a long piece of consolidation, and this can turn into a bullish move. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay, but take, like I said, on Aussie dollar, take a kind of a small by small approach, right? Looking to see what the price will do in this area is very crucial, and then take it from there. Euro dollar. So euro dollar, if you guys recall, in one of my update video, I was looking at this as a long. Okay, I know some of you guys are looking at the short, but let me explain my thought process behind it. So very similar like dollar index, right? We're in this overall descending channel on a higher time frame, and this is just one big impulse on the higher time frame very clearly. And this consolidation here could be that continuation correction that is going to correct this move, and we potentially could be in the next bullish move of the price action. So at the very next top, that would be a long-term target in my opinion. So looking at this overall kind of structure, right? So going down to lower time frame here, I what I like about it is that we see price is had this overall. You can see that we do a little bit of splitting the patterns here. Okay, splitting the structure is that this is one structure here in my opinion, and this is the bearish move, and then this is another structure here, and then we have another bearish move, but it's all within this larger structure. That's my personal opinion. So we had this push down, and then we hit this previous low. We did not break the previous low, and then instead we had the price bullish push up. And that's why in my opinion, that this could be a larger, higher time frame continuation for this move alone, and this could be the next bullish move. So this is why I was looking at a potential buy. I was looking at a potential long in this area, and then but I did not enter, right? I mentioned I did not enter because of the election, because it was going to the weekend, and I didn't want to hold the trade or enter the trade during when the result wasn't out. But that's fine. So I'm happy to miss the trade. But this would have been my trade if I see it. Like I said, bullish move, larger correction on a higher time frame, and we're just at the top of this overall area. So potential correction after breakout, and then looking to enter from this point forward. So that is still my plan. looking to pretty much on the higher time frame is that let's see the price can it be pushed out a little bit more, and then I'll look for the next lower time frame correction to get in. Okay, and that's kind of how I see for euro dollar at least. I do see the continuation of this bullish run. All right, so that's euro dollar for me. Let's go to pound dollar. Someone asked me about pound dollar. To me, it's the same as every week. Is that when I see the price is still in this overall structure, I just don't like it. And I mentioned that when the price was in this area or when the price is in this area, I talk about that every time the price hit the low, it can just bounce up from this point forward because this is just in a larger correction for this move now. Okay, and that this correction can just drag on for a period, a long time, and you really don't want to get stuck in this trade here, in this consolidation event. So personally, still not too interesting. If it continue going upwards to hit the top, then look for a potential reversal if you're looking for a short. I personally will not get into any of these until if if the price breaks out overall this higher time frame structure and this overall larger higher time frame structure. That's how I would personally getting a sell if I'm looking for the sell. Okay. But for now, not too much for me personally. Let's go to dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, very similar like dollar index, and dollar Swiss is very similar as well. So I'm looking this at a higher time frame is that if I'm seeing this is a big one impulse and this is just a larger correction, then potentially we're going to get the next impulse, right? And the only area that we need to watch out for is this really the previous low here. Are we just going to break out here and then continue up, continue downside? And that would be a potential short for me to get. But if we're going to just hit this bottom and start reversing, then no short for me, no trade for me, because I'm not looking to the buy yet, because this higher time frame move is still pretty strong, and this can just be a correction for the next down move. And very likely now because we're at this previous low area. If we break this previous low, then there's really a lot of down move potential from this point forward. Okay, so that's dollar CAD for me. Just see what the price will do in this area. Correction here, great. And then look to see if it's going to be a nice continuation correction to move downwards. And the only area, like I said, just watch how the previous low would be an ideal area to monitor the price. If we break the lows, then continue hold the trade. So let's look at dollar Swiss. Very similar like dollar CAD and dollar index, right? I'm just seeing it more, personally, just more bearish to me in my sense now, because again, before I was looking at this as a potential double bottom, okay, and that's why structurally it's still evolving to a point where I do have to put my idea that if this is the overall structure to correct this move, that we're breaking out of the structure now, and we're potentially breaking out the previous low now, and a correction here that's going to form, which is likely to go, and then continuation is what more probable for me to see this move. Okay, so that's why I see on dollar Swiss. Okay, just watching out this area here is very crucial now. Again, we're at the previous low. We're at pretty much break the previous low now. So a correction, you want to look for a continuation correction to continue this move. And a few of you guys asked me for a few other pairs that you want me to look at. So dollar, Chinese yuan, right? If you guys recall, I was looking for a potential buy, right? If you guys recall, there was a double bottom there from here. Okay, so double bottom here, and then I was looking at if we get the price breakout, right? And if you're looking for a correction, then look for the buy, right? But you see the buy did not continue. It did not even break the previous high. And then we see this kind of a reversal impulse from this point forward. And that's why, to me, if I zoom out on the higher time frame, the double bottom is no longer there, in my opinion, okay? Because the double bottom had its price in this area when price popped out, but now we're just pretty much breakout level. If we zoom out here, there is no previous area where it's going to be a potential double bottom or anything. So what, in my opinion, price likely to do, because this has been a strong bearish move now, it's likely to just be a longer correction, okay? And that will be continuation, in my opinion. That we break the previous low, then looking for a continuation makes sense. But because we haven't had a continuation correction for all this time, um, waiting for a larger correction. I don't want to get into any kind of a 1 hour or 1 hour, 15-minute correction. That's not big enough for me personally because we've been dropping so much already. That's why higher time frame wise, wait. If it's going to drop, give it for a few days that it's going to form a correction to drop. But that's how I see it. Even if it start dropping, that's not a trade I would likely to jump in. That's just not how I would jump, risk my trade on because, of course, sometimes it will work out, right? Sometimes if you enter a trade, work out. But in my opinion, because this is such a big sharp move already from the Chinese yuan, waiting for a correction here would be more ideal. Moving on to dollar max peso. So originally, again, if we look at the lower time frame, I was looking at a potential buy, right? If you guys recall that from a couple of weeks ago, I said this is getting squeezed and we're going to have the pop to the upside, and then just the buy doesn't continue up to the top. Okay, and now we're just seeing that the dollar is losing strength potentially, and we're dropping down, we're potentially breaking the previous low now. So is the structure still valid? Is this still likely to reverse? There is a possibility, but because what I'm seeing now from the overall kind of price action, we're breaking the low now, we're kind of in the lower time frame impulse, then this potentially is no longer a reversal to the upside now, right? This can just be a longer period of consolidation for the period downside. So this can just be a continuation correction now. Okay, so for me personally, I'm not looking for the buy now. Okay, because we break this previous low, we're not even getting any kind of structure or pattern here, right? Whereas previous ones, they're quite clear on the structure that they're in, right? They're very identifiable if you look at the price. Whereas this becomes a pretty sharp move, in my opinion. This overall reverse move, it's pretty sharp for me. Okay, so that's dollar peso. And last one is dollar ZAR, right? Someone is asking about dollar ZAR. Personally, I remember when I drew this, someone asked me maybe weeks ago, and that's the time when I had the dollar kind of the strength in my mind. And when I said dollar ZAR is the only one that's different, I see this more as an impulse, and then this is just a larger correction. You see this larger correction very very the same in kind of the few pairs I went over, right? Very same pair. It's just the shape and the size slightly different, but you're seeing the same thing, right? It's just that the dollar ZAR happened earlier than these ones, right? So, anyways, um, price already continue lower, right? You can see that we already break the previous low. It's already breaking out of this overall area. There's the previous low is this area here. Okay, so lots of room to the downside here, in my opinion. That waiting for a correction here would be ideal for the sell. Okay, I'm not looking for a buy here. Okay, I don't see any buy personally. There may be some lower time frame structures or patterns that you guys are looking at, but higher time frame for me just screams more downside for me. Okay. So that's dollar. So that's all the dollar guys I'm looking at. Okay, so euro dollar would be ideal, looking for continuation, right? And then a couple other dollar ones just need more development personally. That's why I see them. Okay. Let's move on to a few other ones. So let's look at Aussie CAD. I think Aussie CAD. Someone asked about this. Um, I'm looking at this as a more buy now. Okay, so if you look, let me just zoom out here to the lower time frame. Originally, if you guys know, I was looking for more of the sell action, right? And we had this sell, and then price becomes a little bit more indecisive in this area, looking for the sell, and then now, if we just looking at this overall structurally, if we just even go on to the 4 hour here, this overall can just be one strong bullish move, right? And this is just a larger continuation of falling kind of a channel, a descending channel, so to speak, but in this sense, it would be a continuation correction for this overall price action. If you look at the higher time frame, we couldn't break this previous top, so double top in this area, but then we drop down and then we're potentially entering another bullish run. Okay, so looking at this from the lower time frame, what I want to see here is potentially making a structure here. So we already had this kind of a channel structure here to push the price up, right? Impulse, correction, impulse. So waiting for another correction here would be nice to continue upside to the previous top. And that will be a confirmation to see if we can break this previous top. Okay, that was the previous top the price react to. So continuation would be very nice that we know that on the higher time frame, this becomes the next impulse move of the market. Okay, and Aussie Swiss. So Aussie Swiss, right? If you guys recall, maybe a couple weeks ago, yeah, I was still looking at this as a bullish move. Okay, even though there was a potential correction, price did drop down, but because what I like about the price that's reacting to the previous low, right? We have to see it from a higher time frame perspective. This is what I always talk about is that what is the higher time frame going to tell you, and higher time frame is going to weight your analysis should weigh a little bit heavier on what the higher time frame is telling you. What I mean by that is if a lower time frame has a bearish move, okay, a lower time frame have a bearish move like this and then bearish continuation potentially. This can go lower, but you have to look at it from a higher time frame perspective where higher time frame wise, we just had this strong bullish push. So this can just be a larger continuation correction for the next up move. Very similar, right? It's just how the price is reacting now. Okay, so I'm very this is one of the pair that I'm very bullish on still. Okay, I want to see what the price will do. This is about halfway through this higher time frame correction now. So a correction here would be good. Okay, a correction here would be good. Something like this. Okay, so something in that size, that would be a continuation. That would be make me interest for the buy this week, and that would be an inverse head and shoulder if you guys see it from this point. And if we know from the higher time frame, that is an inverse head and shoulder as well. Okay, so that's kind of giving me the confluence for the buy. I like this buy, just kind of waiting for the price to give me a little bit better kind of price action. Not seeing too much. All this is just all the election, right? Remember, some of you guys enter some trades and then you guys get stop out. And that's why I keep saying, guys, don't enter when before the result comes out because the price is likely to be very volatile, and this kind of swing low and swing high, your stop loss is not going to hold it, right? Your stop loss is not going to hold through that. But once it's over, once the price calms down, and then once all things are settled, then look for possible entries, right? Look for possible entries, and that's what I'm looking for. Let's go Aussie Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi. So looking for a buy, right? And remember, you guys, from last week I mentioned I was looking for a price if we can hit the previous double bottom. Okay, but it didn't hit the double bottom, but we still had the bullish push up, which is good. Okay, because I want to see what price would do. I know some of you guys may see this as an inverse head and shoulder, and this is kind of what I'm in now. Is lower time frame? Yes, definitely. This is looking like a head and shoulder. This is the previous top, so potentially this can drop, right? That's certainly one way of seeing this, right? And but I guess how I'm seeing this is that higher time frame wise, if we had this bullish move, is it going to start dropping like this down? To me, rather to see a more developed correction that will show me to the downside. Okay, the 15-minute or lower time frame kind of a head and shoulder isn't enough. Likely to build a more complicated structure, then potentially this can still be the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for this week. But of course, if it starts dropping, then no trade for me, right? Then you do see this in the head and shoulder pattern, then watch to see what the price will do at the previous low. So let's look at a few yen pairs. I know some of you guys are looking at a few yen pairs. Personally, this is kind of how I'm seeing now. Very similar like Aussie dollar and Aussie Swiss is that originally we all know that this is how the structure I had, right? Similar ascending channel, but this is where structurally you have to see it, differently. Is that you have to separate them, or you want to have to see it as two different things now, because yes, this structure makes sense, but this structure also makes sense, and you want to look at the structure, the most recent structure, rather than the previous structure. Okay, and that's kind of how I'm seeing this now. Is that if we zoom out here, very similar like a few pairs, is that this is potentially inverse head and shoulder. Okay, on a higher time frame, and this is the one big impulse, and this is a long correction for the next upside. Okay, and the key here to tell if we're going to be in the next bullish run, go into the lower time frame, right? We're in this overall kind of a channel or descending channel, so to speak, and you break the previous low, but did not continue downwards. Instead, we had this bullish push up. So More bullish push on, more lower time frame correction will get you the next buy, in my opinion, to the previous top. Okay, and this can full on turn into the next bullish move of the price action. Okay, we just had a bullish move. This is a larger continuation correction potentially, and looking for that lower time frame next impulse to the upside. Right? So that's Aussie yen for me. Let's move on to Swiss yen. I think some of you guys are asking about Swiss yen. Um, I'm really not seeing too much at this point. I know likely this is how you guys are seeing this. If this is an impulse correction impulse, potentially this is another correction that's making, right? But I just don't think there's enough risk reward. You know, previous low is very, very close. Okay, can you get 3-to-1 minimum risk reward? To me, probably not. And I don't like how we didn't even break the previous low and we start having a continuation correction, or it could be not enough momentum or continuation correction to break the previous low. So that's why it's not on my watch for me. Pound yen. So it just feels like it needs a little bit more time. Okay, that this can just still going up upwards, right? This is larger structure in the making now. Remember when prices in this area, and I talk about anything can happen now because this can just come to here and then start backing up because structurally everything makes sense, right? You had the bearish push down and then didn't break the previous low, then you just evolve into the structure. So now it can just be, start be into a longer consolidation before the next drop, right? This is still strong one bearish impulse. This correction could go on for a little bit longer, and I just don't see this to be the move to go downside. Kiwi Swiss, sorry, not Kiwi Swiss, Kiwi Yen. Um, if we look at the higher time frame here, originally I wanted to see that impulse and then potential correction here. This is one that it's still in this correction, okay, lower time frame wise. So looking for, if you guys are looking for a potential sell, looking for price to actually break out this area potentially to go down. Okay. Uh, Personally, not too interesting. Okay, because I just don't like how prices in this overall consolidation. I just don't see this as a next bearish move now anymore compared to looking at Kiwi Dollar and a couple other Kiwi pairs I'll go over. I see rather more strength in Kiwi rather than weakness. We'll talk about this. We'll see. But if we're looking for a short, okay, if we're looking for a short, like I said, looking for a price to form this ascending channel and then potential reversal from this point forward, okay? So Euro Aussie, very clear to me that after all this, that this is the strong impulse and this is just large correction that I'm making. Okay, this is one large kind of a flag correction that's making. And on the lower time frame, we had this kind of a messy kind of a correction, but nevertheless, this is the impulse, this is correction, we're having the next impulse. So this area here will be very crucial now. Okay, I want to see price actually break out this previous low and then continuation correction, continue the alt strength, continue this on a higher time frame bearish move. Certainly possible. We're pretty much at this previous low now, right? So this bearish move very likely if we see price actually break out and continue this point forward. That's what I want to see upcoming week or so. So let's go over Euro Kiwi. Okay, Euro Kiwi, I think most of you guys are talking about this, and this is how I see this currently, is that likely you guys are seeing this as a descending channel, which is what I'm seeing this as well. Okay, so descending channel usually a reversal, right? But because what we have here on higher time frame, I like how this overall price action, we had this impulse, we had this larger correction, we're just getting the next impulse. So is this a reversal correction or is this going to be a continuation correction? Okay, very crucial to find out this week. All right. But if we're going to get strength from Kiwi, most of the Kiwi one, then I expect Euro Kiwi to continue lower because we're getting Kiwi strength. Even if this price continue upwards to this top, we can just be forming a larger structure before the next down move. Okay, so that's one possibility as well. Let's look at a few Kiwi pairs that why I think there's Kiwi strength. Looking at the higher time frame, this to me is overall a larger kind of a descending channel, right? So descending channel, we broke the previous low. and then price had this impulse up, right? And potentially this is kind of more like a pennant, more of a triangle kind of a pattern. So likely to be a continuation at this point forward. And that's why I expect Kiwi to have a little bit more strength, a little bit more momentum. Okay, see what the price here doing on a lower time frame. We had this impulse, we had this correction, we're potentially getting the next impulse. So lower time frame correction here will be very ideal for Kiwi strength continue. And Kiwi Swiss as well. I saw you guys, some of you guys are looking at the bearish, and again, that's totally fine. And let me explain my personal point on this is that if we just zoom out here on the higher time frame, is that we broke the previous low, so clearly this can be a double bottom. You know, this is all the spread, this is all the coronavirus kind of things, but that's all-time low, guys. There's no previous low anymore, right? This is all-time low. This is all the data I have. I don't expect. I think this is going to go up much higher in the previous data, anyways, and this is all-time low, guys, and we're getting this strong bullish impulse, right? This is still impulse. Remember, months ago, I was looking at this potentially impulse correction and going to downside, but we didn't get that, right? And that's why you have to understand what the price is telling you, what the market is telling you, is that we had a strong bullish impulse. This can just be a larger continuation correction. We have many correction in between. Okay, this is key, right? When you have a larger correction, you want to have a lot of lower time frame correction within to give you that bias for this higher time frame correction. Right? You can see this as an inverse head and shoulder pattern potentially developing. This can be just a right shoulder, a continuation structure, continuation pattern to push the price up. So going down to the lower time frame, it's all a little bit messy here during the election time, but I like the price here still. I like this impulse correction potentially breaking out. So let it push out a little bit more. Let it have the correction here. For the buy move will be my best buy setup here. You have the higher time frame structure backing you up, right? You have the higher time frame overall price action to give you the more buy. So that's why I see on Kiwi Swiss. That's why I do like Kiwi pairs for the strength rather than the bearish move. Okay, we'll see what happens. You know, I want to see how the New York will open as well, right? So let's go to Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie to me still potential bearish, right? On the higher time frame, we talked about this many times, right? We had this overall impulse move, we had a correction, and we had this overall kind of ascending channel. We had another impulse down, right? So potentially this is a larger continuation correction from the downside. And looking at here on the lower time frame, some of you guys asked me about Pound Aussie. We had this M style pattern, right? If you guys recall, I took a loss here. That was my sell here. I perfectly fine to take this trade over and over. Now we just had this M style pattern. We had this bearish move down. Potentially, this is a continuation correction in the making. I won't just enter now. I want to see price develop a little bit more. Okay, I don't want to enter the same mistake here, right? You enter a sell here, and then price continue push the upside. Okay, you want to wait for a larger correction here to develop, and then look for the down move will be more ideal and safer at this point forward. Okay, so that's Pound Aussie looking for that downside, looking very good. And Pound Cat. So Pound Cat, if we go into lower time frame, this is someone pointed out this to me, and I think, yeah, could be potential sell here. On the higher time frame, this is still a little bit more messy, you know, a little bit more consolidation, not much is going on. And lower time frame wise, you do have this first impulse move, and potentially this is a larger kind of continuation correction that can push the price down lower. Okay, but it's not the best. Okay, I prefer Pound Aussie a lot more because structurally it just looks much cleaner. You have the higher time frame. Remember, guys, higher time frame will give you a lot more clarity on what the price will do. Right? You have the first impulse. You're potentially in a continuation correction, and this can be the next bearish run of the market. Okay, and there will be a huge risk reward down to the lows here. Right? So that is all the currency pair, guys. That's all the currency pair I'm looking at for this week. I think I explained, talk a lot about most of the pairs. They'll need a little bit more development, but like I said, there's a few now looking at Euro Dollar. Um, I like Euro Aussie is good, Pound Aussie is good. Okay, and there's a few other pairs that Kiwi Swiss as well. That will look pretty good for a potential run in the market. Okay, so any question in this currency ones, guys? Any question in these pairs? If not, I'm gonna go to gold and oil. I think you guys talk about gold and oil. You guys asked about gold and oil, so we'll talk about gold and oil really quick. So let's continue. Let's look at gold, guys. And if you guys recall, I made this chart last week. Someone was asking me about gold, and I just pretty much explained price action in the most simplest way. So feel free to check this one out. But the point is, let's go to the lower time frame here. Okay, let's go to the lower time frame here. This is what I like about the price currently is that um, we broke the previous high already. Okay, we potentially this can be a potential push to the upside now, and the crucial here is are we going to get a continuation correction here? Okay, if we do get a continuation correction, this will be my entry. This would be a valid buy for me to at least to the previous top. Okay, and I do think I can get at least 3 to 1, 4 to 1 minimum, and then looking to see if we're going to break the previous high. Okay, because structurally, we talk about structurally that we had a strong bullish impulse, right? And we give the price pretty much 3 months now, right, of consolidation. Okay, 3 months of consolidation, and then we finally push to the upside now. Okay, we finally push to the upside, and the key here, like I said, is the price going to give me a continuation correction here, and I will push the price up even more. Okay, I don't see the bearish move at the moment. Okay, I really don't. Um, I was looking at, I think some of you guys were talking about this all the time, right? We're looking for that bearish push, but it didn't even break the previous low, right? Pretty much price already react to this point forward, and that we're potentially in the lower time frame bullish move now. Okay, so a lower time frame continuation here will give you that confirmation that this is going to be the next buy. Again, I have the higher time frame bullish impulse, higher time frame correction, higher time frame next impulse is very likely, probable for me. Okay, and that's why I'm not looking for the sell anymore. I'm be looking for a potential buy in this area. Okay, so let's go. Let's go to U.S. oil. Oil, some of you guys are talking about it. This was one of the things you guys, someone asked about oil, right? Personally, I think I talked about this last week, and I'm not too interested in oil still. We are potentially making a structure here, but it's a little bit sideways and it's a little bit erratic. Okay, and since I don't think I ever traded oil since it dropped below zero. Okay, that's when I didn't trade oil at all, if I recall. I did remember I used to trade oil when it was back a couple years ago, but haven't touched oil for since this time. And I don't like this is what it's doing now. Okay, what it's a little bit erratic. It's likely to be in this consolidation. Okay, so that's why when I see higher time frame in the consolidation, I don't usually like to jump into these kind of trades. What I want to see is if you go into the lower time frame, it looks like it's just going to be a bullish continuation to the top and then potentially just kind of consolidate in this area, right? That's why it's not too clear to me when the price is in this overall consolidation. I'm likely to not be in any of the trades. Okay. Any question, guys? Okay, so let's go on to few crypto. Okay, few crypto to finish. So let's look at Bitcoin. I don't know if you guys are. I just remember one guy told me he was in the Bitcoin from this point forward, right? So if likely you're still in, so good job on your part. Remember when price was forming this correction, I told you to move the stop at least to the previous low. So if you move your stop and the price still going up, so I'm sure you get a lot of, you're in pretty good profit now. So good for you to do that. What the price here is doing here now is anybody guesses is that it's still making a consolidation. Okay, it's likely to be making a bigger consolidation now for this move, right? We just pushed above some key area. I've been seeing this Bitcoin break 1400, 14,000, 15,000, whatever. So price is likely to be a little bit more volatile here to just accumulate a lot more buyers, and then we're still going to be the upside, in my opinion. If we zoom out here on a higher time frame, we break the previous top. We're looking at the next previous top as a potential price now, but price needs to just form a little correction here correction here would be nice. A little correction would be nice. A little correction here would be nice to continue option upside. Okay, so that's Bitcoin for me. Let's move on to Link. So Link, if we zoom out here, overall higher time frame breakout, impulse, correction, impulse, larger correction. I mentioned this was the next impulse. And I personally got into one of the trend, remember, and I got stopped out. I think it was here, yeah. But I talk about if the price form a larger correction, I would still be interested. But personally, did not get this. Just wait to see what the price will do here, and then continue upwards would be nice. So if we see the similar kind of price action over and over again already, so likely to be seeing the same kind of movement this point forward as well. So that's Link. One last one, OMG. So larger structure in the making, which is good. I was looking at potentially that this can be that price supposed to be going up from this from the right shoulder, but we're just in more longer consolidation. And now price finally pushed the upside, which is good. So waiting for some sort of correction here, waiting for a little bit more bullish activity here will be ideal for the next upside. Okay, so that's OMG and Neil. Neil was one of the ones I was looking at. Someone asked me about this one. I like the overall structure. I have this bullish impulse and then just larger continuation correction. Potentially, this could be the next buy move and just needs a little bit more developing as well for the price to break above. So that's crypto. I'm not looking too much. As you guys know, crypto for me is more swing trading. I don't personally take day trade on crypto. It's more as a swing. So speaking of equity, I'll go through a few to end. Okay, a few equity I'm looking at that looks okay. So AAL, American Airline, we know that the airline industry. Uh, Potentially, I just want to see this structure is in the making. Okay, we are finding a free bottom already, which is good. And can we get the next bullish push up and then continuation would be nice because we can see that price has been in this overall kind of a low area since the COVID, of course, right? Since February, it'd be nice to see price react to this area because this is kind of the area where previous area back in 2008 when the financial crisis were, and then price still managed to push up after that. So likely you want to see the same here. Aurora, I think someone brought this to my attention. It does look nice. So I remember Aurora was on my watch months ago for the bullish upside, and I mentioned, see, this is when price was in this area, and I just want to talk about this really quick. Is that when price is in this overall consolidation area, we just don't know how long and how deep and how wide this correction can go, but we know this is a strong bullish push. Okay, it's very clear, right? You just see this overall drag on forever. But overall, we're back to the previous low. We just broke the previous low and we had a strong bullish impulse. This is all good because this is just a long, deep correctional structure, and we're getting the next bullish push up, which shows you that on the lower time frame, if we're getting the consolidation here, it would be very ideal for the buy. Okay, this is one of the buy that I would be looking for personally. Again, for stocks, for same thing as crypto, I'm not looking to day trade them. For me, for stocks is always for long term and equity hold. Okay, so I do like Aurora for the buy continuation. Um, Disney, yeah, Disney was looking good. I like how the structure is doing now. Okay, we had this impulse correction, impulse, and we're just in this larger continuation correction. Potentially, we're looking for the next push up to the previous high here. Okay, so I'd like Disney here again for the continuation upside. And let's look at a few other ones. Nike, I'm still in Nike from this. Those of you guys who know me, Nike from previous low, and then that I like how the price is doing now. We had this one impulse, and this is just a larger continuation correction in the making, which is good now because what we want to see from the price is continuation correction, and then get in the market after we break out, right? This is a correction after breakout. One of my entries, we had another impulse, and then we had another larger correction. So waiting for the price to break out and waiting for a correction here would be ideal for me personally to even get in the next buy. I was already in this buy, looking for this next buy again. So that's Nike and Tesla. Yeah, let's talk about Tesla. Tesla just evolving the structure. We're still in this overall consolidation structure. If you guys recall, I talk about the longer, the deeper the structure is. After it breaks out, looking for that correction would be ideal. So longer and deeper this structure is making, good, because we have this descending channel, we have this potential first bullish push up, first bullish lower time frame correction. Getting this buy would be ideal. I like this trade a lot. That will be something I will be looking for in the upcoming days as well. Okay, so that is Tesla. Any other question, guys? Any other pairs you want me to look at? I think that concludes everything I'm looking at for this week. Okay, and if you guys are looking at anything, let me know. Or any questions you guys have, let me know as well. Happy to answer some questions as well before I end the stream. So I'll be talking about 50 minutes already. No question for you guys, huh? It's pretty quiet today. Maybe you guys are still seeing the markets a little bit still developing. Not much is going on. I would agree as well. I was expecting a little bit more gapping. Like I said in the beginning, I was expecting a little bit more things happening in the market, and I can see it be a little bit more clearly. But it looks like the market is going to wait until New York opens. That's kind of how I see this now. Likely because all the indices are just waiting for the market to actually open and then start moving. I think that's what's going on. These are obviously CFD, so they're moving, but doesn't mean much. When the actual New York session open, that is when the key you're able to see what the price is going to do. That's when the volatility will come in during that period of time. Okay. So any other question, guys? Any other question about any pair or anything you guys are looking at? Rand, dollar, is that crypto, Trump? Um, Hey, no problem, Richie. Nice to do it. Thanks, no problem. I don't have too much data here, but this is what I'm looking at here. If this is the strong impulse, and this is just a larger correction, and this is another impulse here, right? So you're pretty much just looking for a potential continuation here from this point forward. That is all I see here. I don't know. Maybe there's other broker that give you a little bit more data. Okay. Yeah, same idea, right? This is one big correction I'm seeing. So this is just one impulse correction and looking for the next impulse to push the price higher. Okay, that's what I see on RAND. So any other question, guys? If not, I'm going to end the stream here, and then I'll do another daily outlook, likely after New York opens tomorrow. So probably on Tuesday morning or something like that. I'll post that in my Telegram. Okay, but for now, I'm not seeing too much. Like I said, I'll just seeing a few that looks okay to me. Like I said, euro dollar on euro dollar potentially could be a buy here. What else? Aussie Swiss I like. Just want to see price develop something here for the upside. Okay. And then Aussie Yen looking potentially upside as well. See what price will do. Is it going to break out this point forward? Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie potentially want to see price break below this area and then correction here at the low. And pound Aussie, same thing, just waiting to see a larger correction here in the making for the sell. And then a couple Swiss Kiwi pairs that looks pretty okay as well. I like Kiwi Swiss a lot, and then Kiwi Cap potentially as well for the continuation. And then for gold for me personally, just looking for a potential upside. Is this going to be a larger continuation here? I would likely to get in this if it's going to develop something like that. Okay, and crypto. link, looking to see what happened in this area here. And Bitcoin already gone, just waiting for a larger correction here to develop. And equity-wise, Aurora was one of the ones that I like. Aurora for the continuation here for the upside. And Disney also I like as well. Overall, this larger structure in the making. So higher time frame, this can just be a high continuation correction for this overall move. And we can potentially get the next move up. And Nike as well, right? Nike looks really good. That this higher time frame here is just a correction, just like the previous correction. We can potentially get the next bullish push up. So looking to add to that buy as well from all the way down here, which is nice. And Tesla, larger structure in the making, great. And just waiting for the breakout and then continuation this point forward. All right. So that is all the ones I'm looking at today. I'm waiting for this week. And then, like I said, I'll make another daily outlook after past Monday or so, so Tuesday, and we'll go from there, right, guys? So thank you very much for tuning to this one, guys, and chat with you guys all next time or in my Telegram group, and feel free to join that as well. Feel free to join the group if you guys have any questions. I post everything free on there, so feel free to join that. And see you guys next time, all right? Thank you very much.